We have such a strong, deep bond and love.
My mom, loving maternal, you know. My wife, Nicole, is here tonight. I love you, baby girl.
The shocker comes just 4 months after this love fest at the ACMs.
Who's having more fun today, you or her?
We both are equal.
Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage.
The entire world lost its mind when news exploded that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's 19-year storybook romance had blown up spectacularly. After nearly 2 decades of red carpet performances, Grammy ceremonies, and Hollywood premieres, Nicole finally screamed enough. The shock wasn't just her filing for divorce, it was the method she chose and what those legal documents actually revealed. According to sources, on September 30th, 2025, Nicole filed in Nashville citing the standard irreconcilable differences, but underneath those polished attorney-approved words sat a reality no PR team could spin. Inside the paperwork, one set of digits told the authentic story, 306 versus 59. Those represent the days Nicole and Keith will clock with their daughters annually. Nicole locks in 306 days. Keith barely grabs 59. That's an 83% to 17% split, and those figures speak way louder than any press statement ever could. This wasn't simply a divorce. It was Nicole dropping a bomb, broadcasting a message saying, "I'm finished faking it, finished playing the flawless wife while shouldering motherhood and family responsibilities solo." She didn't need to deliver a monologue or break down on daytime television. The court paperwork handled all the communication. Those documents blasted what polite Hollywood culture wouldn't say out loud. She'd been propping up this marriage single-handedly for years. Keith might dominate country music charts, but even massive fame can't hide the fractures forming at home.
Now TMZ reports Nicole Kidman just filed for divorce, even though they were told she wanted to save her marriage.
Nicole, the cinema icon who juggled worldwide stardom with raising kids, finally planted her flag in the ground. Since filing, both stayed completely radio silent. No emotional social media breakdowns, no joint declarations about respecting each other. Absolutely nothing. The silence hits different, and in that quietness, the reality echoes way louder. Because when celebrities stop broadcasting, the legal paperwork starts screaming secrets. Those court documents filed in Davidson County Circuit Court represent the authentic screenplay of their split. Forget gossip websites and mysterious sources close to the situation. This got written in official ink with signatures ending a love story millions believed would survive forever. The custody arrangement provides the clearest evidence this breakup wasn't spontaneous. It was brewing for years. It declares Nicole will maintain primary custody of their 2 daughters, Sunday Rose, 17, and Faith Margaret, 14, for 306 days annually. The girls will post up with their mom in Nashville. Keith gets a measly 59 days. That's barely 2 months. This isn't co-parenting, it's one parent raising the children while the other drops in for visits. The documents might label it joint decision-making, but let's cut through the noise. That's just legal jargon for Nicole runs everything. And here's the kicker. Nowhere in those filings does it mention this split stems from substance problems, mistreatment, or scandal. Nope, it's presented as a peaceful arrangement, which makes it even more revealing. It means Keith either couldn't battle for more custody or simply didn't want to. That's what makes those numbers so devastating. They expose a man who signed away time with his daughters without resistance. Whether it was his touring schedule, his priorities, or just emotional detachment, Keith co-signed seeing his kids only 17% of the time. That's not merely a legal verdict. It's a window into a marriage already flatlined long before the divorce dropped. Keith's music career has never been more explosive. His High and Alive world tour packed arenas across North America, raking in millions and keeping his name blazing in lights. But behind that success sat a cost he couldn't dodge: time away from home. A country superstar at his level spends over 200 days yearly on the road chasing stages and glory, while missing family dinners and bedtime routines.
Nicole.
My wife, Nicole, is here tonight. I love you, baby girl. 4 months into our marriage, my addictions that I'd done really nothing about blew our marriage to smithereens, and I went into the Betty Ford Center. Nick pushed through every negative voice, I'm sure even some of her own, and she chose love.
Meanwhile, Nicole was back in Nashville constructing a different type of empire, one built on stability, presence, and motherhood. She filmed her projects like the Practical Magic sequel, but her heart stayed planted at home. She chose her foundation while Keith kept choosing the highway. That's not partnership. That's 2 people existing on different planets. The real gut punch? Keith had already signed the permanent parenting plan 2 months before Nicole even filed for divorce. On August 1, 2025, he dropped his signature agreeing to every term. 306 days for her, 59 for him, full custody arrangements already locked. It's almost like he knew the marriage was cooked before the world caught wind. While fans celebrated their 19th wedding anniversary in June, viewing their sweet Instagram tributes and love forever captions, Keith had already emotionally bounced. He signed those documents in August, and by September, it was official. That's not heartbreak, that's calculated strategy. And if you thought that was wild, here's another curveball. The court papers reveal Keith prepaid all his child support in one massive lump sum. That's not standard procedure. Most divorced parents pay month by month based on income and custody time. But Keith, he just cut one gigantic check and walked. No monthly reminders, no ongoing connection, just handle it once and keep the tour rolling. That's not the behavior of a father fighting to stay connected. It's the move of a man closing a chapter and making it convenient to keep grinding. It's like he said, "Let me settle this now and get back to performing." Those aren't just financial choices, they're emotional declarations. The documents never explicitly state Keith chose his career over his family, but you don't need a headline to catch what's written between the lines. It's right there in the mathematics, in the signatures, in the deafening silence. And if we rewind time, everything starts clicking into place. Keith's battle with addiction wasn't breaking news. In 2006, only 4 months after their wedding, Nicole had to stage an intervention when his drinking spiraled completely out of control. She helped him get into treatment and stood by him through everything. At her 2024 AFI ceremony, he even said, "If you want to see what love in action looks like, give that a whirl." Nick pushed through every negative voice, and she chose love. But love can only shoulder so much weight when one person keeps drifting away. Now that 306 to 59 split looks like the final echo of years of imbalance, it's not just a statistic, it's a narrative written in cold legal ink, and spelling out that Nicole Kidman finally got exhausted from being the only one showing up.
He wants the perfect anything. I'm not a...
She didn't need interviews, didn't need to go public, didn't need to throw accusations. The documents spoke for her. They said he was absent more than present. They said she held everything down alone. And when Keith agreed to that custody arrangement without resistance, it confirmed what everyone suspected. This wasn't a breakup constructed overnight, it was a slow burn that ended with one final decision that exposed everything. Nicole was finished pretending. By the time Nicole Kidman stepped into that Nashville courthouse, her mind was already locked. This wasn't a last-minute emotional breakdown or a wild celebrity explosion. It was the final move of a woman who'd been quietly holding everything together while her marriage disintegrated in slow motion. The legal documents didn't just finalize a split, they exposed a reality Keith Urban could no longer sing his way out of. Because that custody division, 306 days with Nicole, 59 with Keith, wasn't random. It was years of emotional distance, exhaustion, and sacrifice written in cold, calculated numbers. Those digits told a crushing truth. Nicole had been raising their daughters solo while Keith was chasing stage lights. But here's where it gets even deeper. Keith didn't fight for more time, didn't push back, he simply agreed. And that silence from his side spoke volumes. Because when a parent genuinely wants to be present, they don't just sign off on seeing their kids for less than 2 months yearly. They battle for every extra weekend, every holiday, every sliver of time. Keith didn't. He signed and moved on. That's not just a legal maneuver, that's emotional surrender. And it fits a pattern we've witnessed before with him. His dedication to music has always dominated, no matter what else was on the line. From sold-out venues to endless tours, Keith constructed a career demanding everything, and Nicole was the one keeping everything else functioning while he was gone. In 2025, his High and Alive world tour exploded across North America, generating headlines and millions. But while Keith was performing under blazing lights, Nicole was home in Nashville making sure their daughters had breakfast, school, and stability. Her schedule might have been demanding, but it had structure. She filmed her projects like the Practical Magic sequel with Sandra Bullock, then returned home. She balanced her fame and her family. Keith balanced his fame and his next gig. The numbers expose everything. Touring 200-plus days yearly means 2/3 of your existence away from home. That's not partnership, that's ships passing in completely different oceans. And the most telling moment arrived months before the divorce even got announced. Keith signed that parenting plan back on August 1st, 2025, 2 months before Nicole even filed publicly. Think about that. He agreed to her having full custody before the world even knew trouble existed. It's like the divorce had already happened behind closed doors while fans were still double-tapping their happy anniversary posts. When Nicole finally filed on September 30th, it wasn't a shock to him. It was just the public catching up to what they'd already decided. Then there's the money angle, and trust me, it reveals plenty.
Now comes the shocking news that Keith Urban moved out of their home at the beginning of this summer and has his own place in Nashville. There's also a report that he's seeing another woman.
What we've learned is that she really has been fighting hard over the past 3 months or so to save their marriage. This isn't what she wanted.
So even with what I've got now, I've been able to juggle things to accommodate my family.
Keith prepaid all his child support in one transaction, cut a check, and that was that. No ongoing monthly payments, no financial connection. It's clean, simple, and ice cold. For most divorced parents, monthly payments reflect an ongoing commitment. For Keith, it looked more like, let's just handle this so I can move forward. That's not standard, and it's not accidental. It's calculated, just like his tour schedule, because a man constantly on the road doesn't want to deal with monthly court transfers and financial updates. He just wants to perform, travel, and keep life easy while his ex handles the difficult part, raising their kids. And it all circles back to one haunting question. Did Nicole lose faith in Keith as a father, or did Keith simply lose interest in being one full time? Remember, this isn't the first time his personal life collided with chaos. Back in 2006, just months into their marriage, Nicole had to stage an intervention after his drinking got out of control. He checked into rehab, and she stood by him through it all, showing the type of loyalty deserving a lifetime in return. At her AFI tribute in 2024, Keith stood on that stage, tears in his eyes, saying Nick pushed through every negative voice and chose love. But words don't raise kids, and love can't survive when one person keeps vanishing. So when you examine that custody deal now, 83% with Nicole, 17% with Keith, it feels less like a legal decision and more like an emotional scoreboard. The math doesn't lie. A father who genuinely wanted equal time would have fought for it. Instead, Keith quietly agreed, wrote his check, and went back to touring. And Nicole? She finally stopped waiting for him to come home, stopped pretending that a man physically gone most of the year can still be a full-time husband or dad. She took control of the situation, not out of revenge, but out of reality, because sometimes love doesn't die in a fight. It just fades out one lonely night at a time. And let's discuss that prenup. For a 19-year marriage, it's surprisingly clean, almost too clean. No spousal support, no ongoing payments, no messy battles over property or royalties. Nicole keeps her acting money, Keith keeps his music empire. Simple, smooth, and quiet. That's not normal after nearly 2 decades together unless it was already planned that way, and it was. From day one, they had an airtight prenup keeping everything separate. That's smart, but it's also revealing. It means they entered that marriage knowing that if it ever fell apart, neither would owe the other a cent. It's like they loved each other but never fully trusted the future. Nicole had been through heartbreak before. Her marriage to Tom Cruise taught her how fast love can crash when fame and control collide. So when she married Keith in 2006, she made sure her money, her career, and her independence were untouchable. That's not cold. It's survival. And now that same prenup made the divorce almost effortless. No drawn-out battles, no dramatic court hearings, just signatures and silence. The same silence that's followed every headline since this story broke. No interviews, no tell-all documentaries, no public tears, just calm, quiet dignity from Nicole and distant quiet from Keith. It's as if they both decided to let the papers do the talking. But when you read between those lines, it's clear they built their marriage on love but protected it with paperwork. And when the love ran out, the paperwork took over. What started as a romantic partnership ended like a business deal. And maybe deep down, they both always knew it might come to this, because you don't create an ironclad prenup unless you want an easy exit when things fall apart. That's exactly what they got. An efficient, emotionless ending that left the public stunned, but them both free to move on. No messy drama, no financial war, just 2 signatures, and a lifetime closed out with silence. The same silence that once kept their problems hidden has now become their final message to the world. Some stories don't end with a bang, they end with a whisper. When you piece the puzzle together, the truth behind Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's breakup feels less like a sudden explosion and more like a slow fade everyone saw coming, except the public. Because even while they were smiling on red carpets, posting anniversary photos, and playing the perfect couple, their marriage was already unraveling behind the scenes. It's like they were performing love for the cameras while quietly negotiating their exit. The timeline inside those court papers doesn't just prove it. It paints the whole picture in painful detail. On June 26, 2025, they celebrated their 19th anniversary, posting heartwarming tributes online. Keith shared a black and white photo hugging Nicole with the caption, "Happy anniversary, baby." Nicole posted something similar, sweet, polished, picture perfect. But behind those smiles, something was already shattered, because just 5 weeks later, Keith signed the parenting plan giving Nicole full custody. He signed away 306 days with their daughters before the world even knew anything was wrong. That's not love, it's surrender. And the cruelest twist: when Nicole filed for divorce 2 months later, she listed that same day as their official separation date, meaning while fans were still gushing over their anniversary posts, they were already finished. By late September, TMZ broke the news. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were calling it quits. The world was stunned. Just a few months earlier, they'd walked the ACM Awards red carpet together, hand in hand, like nothing was wrong. But now it all made sense. The anniversary posts, the smiles, the silence, it was all part of the performance. They'd been keeping up appearances until the papers were signed. Nicole had been done for months. Keith had already accepted it. What looked like love was really the calm before goodbye. And when you trace back their interviews, the cracks were hiding in plain sight. In 2024, while promoting her Netflix series The Perfect Couple, Nicole was asked if she saw herself and Keith as one. Her answer? "You're heading for trouble if you consider yourselves the perfect couple. I'm not a believer in perfect." That wasn't just a casual comment. It was a warning wrapped in honesty. Then, in another interview, she said, "We have breakfast together every morning and dinner every night. How do we do it? I'm kind of not sure." That doesn't sound like a woman secure in her marriage. It sounds like someone already questioning it. The deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't about cheating or betrayal. It was about distance, priorities, and two people growing in different directions. Keith's touring schedule kept him gone for most of the year. Nicole's acting work let her come home between projects. She was building a family while he was building an empire, and at some point, those worlds stopped overlapping. The rumors about another woman, like his touring guitarist Natalie Stovall, never held weight. She's been married for years. But the gossip itself said a lot. It showed how much time Keith spent with his band instead of his wife. Because when you spend 200+ days yearly on the road, your family becomes your crew, not the people waiting for you at home. And Nicole, known for her grace and control, never once lashed out publicly. No, he did this. No messy interviews. No emotional outbursts. She stayed silent, and in that silence, she won the narrative. Because she didn't need to explain why she left. The numbers, 306 days versus 59, said it all. That's not the division of a happy home. It's the proof of a one-sided marriage. The custody split became the clearest symbol of what went wrong. Nicole chose her kids, Keith chose his career. Even people close to them started whispering after the divorce was announced. One insider said the marriage breakdown hasn't been a secret among their inner circle. Translation: everyone around them knew it was only a matter of time. Friends, family, even other celebrities had seen how much distance had grown between them. The surprise wasn't that they split. It was how long they kept up the show. Because even when the love fades, image in Hollywood is everything. And for Nicole and Keith, that image paid the bills, fed the fans, and kept the headlines sweet until it didn't. And when it finally ended, it ended clean. That prenup made sure there was no war over money, no ugly fight for property or royalties. Each kept what was theirs. No arguments, no lawyers fighting on morning TV. It was almost too calm, like a business deal instead of a heartbreak. Which makes you wonder, did they ever truly believe it would last forever? Because love built on contracts is love built with an exit plan. From the very start, Nicole and Keith protected themselves like two stars who knew fame can turn fast. She'd already survived one explosive divorce with Tom Cruise. She wasn't going to lose herself again, and that's the most haunting part. This marriage was built on protection, emotional, financial, physical. They loved each other, sure, but they never let go of the safety nets. Maybe that's why it always looked so perfect, because it was rehearsed, controlled, maintained, until Nicole finally dropped the act. She stopped being the perfect wife, stopped playing the Hollywood game, and simply said, "I can't pretend anymore." When you look back now, it all makes sense. The distant looks, the separate schedules, the perfectly timed smiles. Nicole wasn't just ending a marriage, she was ending an illusion. And Keith? He didn't fight to stop it. He just let her walk away, signed what he needed to sign, and kept touring. No anger, no chaos, just quiet acceptance. The silence at the end wasn't sudden. It had been building for years. This story was never about cheating or wild scandal. It was about imbalance. One person kept showing up while the other slowly drifted away. One chose family, the other chased fame, and that gap just kept getting wider. When Nicole Kidman filed for divorce, it wasn't just paperwork. It was the curtain finally dropping on a role she'd been stuck playing for too long. Those cold legal words, irreconcilable differences, weren't cold at all. They were human. They meant, I tried, I stayed, I gave everything I had, and now I'm done pretending. People love to remember the glam. The flashing cameras, the movies, the music, the perfect smiles. But the real story lives in the numbers. 306 versus 59. That math doesn't lie. One was present, the other was always gone, and eventually reality taps you on the shoulder. Nicole didn't rant, didn't expose, didn't drag anyone through the mud. She didn't have to. The truth was right there in plain sight. She showed up, he didn't. And when she finally walked away, it wasn't rage, it was peace. Because when a woman stops performing and chooses herself, that's when the real story starts. And in this story, she didn't lose anything. She reclaimed herself. If this breakdown hit, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next one.